Monday was the 8th anniversary slash birthday, however you want to look at it, of the Nintendo Switch. 8 years. 8 years of Switch. And I feel like it's a very big occasion for multiple reasons. Not really a big occasion. There's no actual occasion, but like it's one of those numbers that really just makes you stop and think. You know what I mean? Especially as a Nintendo YouTuber, the Switch has taken up the vast majority of my time as a YouTuber. The very beginning, I've been doing this for 10 years, just had my 10th anniversary late last year. And, I didn't start out as a Nintendo channel. It kind of just happened that way. So then, like, only a little bit into my career path, the Switch happened. And so Switch discussion, I mean, that has dominated most of my career has been pretty much just Switch centered. And so, yeah, like hitting that 8 years, 8 is almost 10. You know what I mean? Like 7 is still close enough to 5, still close enough to a half decade. It's close enough to them. It's kind of like how like I'm 37 and I'm like, all right, I'm still like, you could still consider that mid 30s, right? Maybe, or like mid to late, kind of like in that little area there. But this October it's going to be my 38th, and it's just like there's no fooling anymore. That is definitively late 30s. So point is, 8 years of Switch. That is so close to a decade, and that it just feels very strange. Looking back on the Switch's launch, it's like it's always gonna feel like it was yesterday. It feels weird that it's been this long, but then it also feels like it's been forever. You know what I mean? There's that part of me that doesn't believe it's been 8 years, and there's that other part of me that's like, wow, yeah, it really has been 8 years, hasn't it? So much has happened and so much has changed in 8 years. And then of course, like, just look at it in terms of video game consoles. 8 years, that's a long generation. That is super long. This is the single longest home console generation for Nintendo. And I think they weren't originally planning to go this long. I still believe in the idea that it was going to launch last year, but then got delayed or whatever. So I don't think they necessarily planned for it to go quite this long, because 7 is kind of the new standard just throughout the industry. It was 5 for a long time. Tech was just advancing so quickly. But then, like, we all kind of settled into this, like, 7-year thing. So 8, like, that really is just so incredibly long, especially when you consider just how, quote unquote underpowered the Switch is. When it came out, it was underpowered in its own way, but not really in a meaningful way. It got the job done. It's still, there was still this novelty about, like, playing Breath of the Wild. It still felt like big console experiences on the go. And like, sure, over these 8 years, we've really felt the weight of that weaker hardware power more and more. But it really is incredible to see how much time has passed and just how strong the system has remained, despite that hardware weakness. Nintendo has just kept bringing the games. Like, sure, the whole, like, home console hybrid thing, that concept does matter, and that did help sell Switches, but, like, most of it, I think, is just the games. Like, Nintendo they brought the games, and they never stopped bringing the games, and even here, even after 8 years, we've still got a handful of games that we're expecting to come out. We think there's probably going to be more games revealed. I mean, I know we didn't end up getting the February Switch 1 dedicated direct. That did not end up happening. Still technically could happen this month instead. We could get a mini or something. I'm not getting my hopes up or anything. But like, we continued to get games into the end of its life. And, sure, fewer and fewer big giant AAA games. It's still a little bit slower. It's kind of like you know, smaller projects from smaller teams, but they've still not stopped. You know, like these are still notable Metroid Prime 4 is coming out this year. I'm trying not to think about it too hard because releasing here at the end of the generation, that has killed countless games. I don't think anything is going to kill it. I don't know. I'm still not quite sure how I feel about it launching on Switch when Switch 2 is around the corner. But that's not the point. The point is, Metroid Prime 4 is coming this year. We are still looking forward to a very major Switch original game. Like that's still happening. And then you got Xenoblade is coming too, and yeah, anything else that they might announce. So it's just, and then last year there were loads of notable releases. Nintendo has supported the heck out of this thing, and that has worked out so well for them. They've barely taken a breath this whole generation. Sure, there were some years here and there, maybe like one or two, where it was like a little bit lighter of a year, but like there were never not humongous games to play. There's never been a complete dud of a year. Nintendo has just continued to support this thing, and it is still sales. They're finally diminishing. You know, nearly every human on the planet has got one or more Switches, and the Switch 2 is coming, and so like sure, sales have dipped, but like come on, the absolute just runaway success of this thing, and the fact that it is still selling pretty okay, considering it's been on the market for 8 entire years. I think that's nuts. And you know, this is the final Switchiversary day that we will ever celebrate for the Switch, while the Switch is still Nintendo's primary system. And we probably said that last year, but again, I think it was gonna be the original, whatever. Maybe we were just jumping the gun. But point is, even if we said that last year, now we know definitively. There is no possible way that Nintendo is going to fully reveal the system in April and then say it's coming out next year, next June or something. Like, no, like this really is it. This is the final Switch anniversary, where Switch is the, you know, the main attraction, the only child, the star of the show. It really is kind of the end, you know? The Switch generation was such an incredible generation for Nintendo. So it is very kind of surreal and like slightly sad, but in that kind of like happy, hopeful kind of way. Thanks for the memories kind of thing. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just very charged, you know? The whole thing is just it is charged with many emotions. We are reaching the end of this countdown, you know? Clock's gonna start all the way over again, and a whole entire new generation is gonna start with whole new hardware and whole new software and games and all that stuff. And it's gonna be a really huge thing. And it's just, I don't know. It's kind of like this is the last gasp. It's the calm before the storm. And I already did the whole calm before the Switch 2 storm. I'll try not to get all sentimental now, but I don't know. Just seems like a good opportunity for one final breath before the whole thing happens. I can't even say that. I can't even definitively say this is the final. Well, I'm probably going to be final breathing for the rest of this month. This whole entire month is kind of collectively the last gasp before the Switch 2 storm hits, really, for lack of a better term. I know it'll be a while after that before it actually launches, so technically between here and there, the actual launch month, whether it's June or July or whatever, kind of be the last gasp. Whatever. Am I rambling? I guess I'm rambling. But isn't that the point? Isn't that the point of these videos? But I suppose that means I should stop. Just kind of wanted to check in one last time. Acknowledge one last birthday. I used to put a lot more into my anniversary videos, especially early on. You know, the first few years of the Switch's life. I remember making a much bigger thing of like the updates and whatnot. And now it's just like, yeah, we're just kind of quietly waiting, you know, quietly waiting for the next thing. It's kind of nice. It's nice to be at this place, feeling older and wiser for all the years Sure, maybe the quote-unquote hype for the original Switch has all but died. We really have reached the end, but I see it less as something good fading and more as something good growing. I I look to my Switch as one would look to a longtime partner, and I see the wrinkles on the eyes. I see the gray in the beard. Switch's beard, and I love the Switch all the more for it. It's a love that only grows with age and familiarity. I really do need to end this video. See y'all later.